All right, today is October 23rd, 2025. We are in Houston, Texas. My name is Jacob King, and I am interviewing Barbara McIntyre for Sears Heroines Oral History Project. Before we begin, I must ask, are you okay with this interview being recorded and saved for the project archives?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so I was wondering if you can begin by telling us about your early life growing up in Houston and your experiences around the environment.
Well, fortunately for me, unfortunately for you, I was actually raised in Louisiana.
Hmm.
And after marriage, my husband's job transferred us here to Texas. And I actually live in Cleveland, Texas, in Liberty County, where we're constantly seeing what the environment has for us with all of the flooding and the hurricanes and the tornadoes that we've had to deal with. Um, Growing up as a child, I remember having a garden out in the yard and being able to stay out there for hours and not have any issues. But right now, this environment that we're living in, and what is happening here in Texas, East Texas, is causing room for concern. But we do what we can do to bring awareness to all the many issues that we deal with and try to keep the community educated on what is happening, when it's happening, and how they can get involved in all that transpires.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I understand Liberty County Long-Term Recovery Committee was founded in the wake of Hurricane Rita and kind of grew after Hurricane Ida, is according to the research I did on it. Could you talk about your work, the work that basically how that organization has adapted and changed following those storms to now?
Yes, actually, I think we started with long term recovery when Katrina happened because a lot of the refugees or our neighbors were traveling on I 10 headed to Houston for safe haven. And they got off on I 10 because they didn't have enough gas and stuff to get through. And so we started seeing that there was an issue with so many people in our community, so we started planning and trying to see what we could do to feed them, clothe them, to see exactly what FEMA was going to do to help all the communities out. We still have families left in our community from Katrina as well. What we've seen has been help coming from FEMA and the federal government, the state, in about 3 days, 2 days at the most when the storm is over. And now we're looking at a year out. We see some assistance about a week or two, where there is websites and links. TDM, FEMA have websites and stuff for individuals. But in our community, we have issues with towers, with internet, with broadband to be able to connect. And so that's really is one of our issues while we are constantly recovering. So we're still recovering from Hurricane Ike.
It's funny you mentioned FEMA because that was actually one of the questions I want to ask you. I watched the Rice University documentary "Power of Our Region." I saw your bit in the documentary, and you were discussing your relationship with FEMA and just stories about the agents being in hotels away from the community that they were supposed to be serving. I was wondering if you can talk a little bit more about your organization's relationship to FEMA and your relationship to FEMA as you're dealing with a lot of these storms and helping numerous amounts of people recover during this time.
Well, we've seen over a period of time how FEMA has evolved and how we've had to adjust. The relationship with FEMA has been great. The problem is they come in with not a whole lot of resources. They come in with a lot of information. They come in with a lot of ideas. And so I think maybe one time we had FEMA representatives in a hotel actually in Cleveland once. Otherwise, they are outside of our communities because we have limited amount of hotels in the first place, especially nice one, which is what they are accustomed to. And then the second thing is, if we're without power, So are our hotels, or without powers as well until I think during Barrow it took about 7 days, 8 days before power came back on, and I think there was another during the Uri ice storm. We were out of power about that many days as well. And then Harvey, when we had all that water, we were having a problem. But as for FEMA reps themselves, they're probably one of the sweetest, most caring group of people you ever want to meet. I mean, we have long lasting relationships to because I check on them now just to see who have jobs and who don't have jobs and whatever. They have great intentions, but they just have limited resources of what can be done. There's so much bureaucracy in between what they come to do and what they are allowed to do, right? Because you can't come to a community and try to bring resources, find resources within the community. Because if I live in a community, and I do, I know what's in my community. I know who has what and who can do what. So we don't need them to come tell us that. We need them to bring money. And they never bring money. They come in and they try to connect with people to see what they have to bring to the table, which we have a directory that has all that information. We created a directory that has all that in it. So we basically give it to them. So what they will bring sometime is federal or statewide services. But we know in disasters like this, people tend to stick to their own counties and their own zip codes.
Oh, thank you for that. So this project is about women in disaster preparedness. So women enduring harsh climate disasters. What do you feel gets left out of when talking about the experiences that women go through when climate disasters do happen?
Well, I think the biggest, no matter what happens, women are going to, we're resourceful and we use everything that we have. But I think the biggest thing is not having the necessary people in place to assist us so that it wouldn't be so hard. We talk about preparation, but the state is not ready for preparation. They send out a lot of emails and what coulda, woulda, shoulda, and federal as well. And so when we're sitting waiting for those resources, they're not available. So that has caused us to use a lot of our own, expend a lot of our own resources, and create a community of resilience among ourselves, because help is not coming. No one is coming to help us.
You were talking about resources, and this actually leads me to another question I want to ask around building that up as far as getting help from the community. What relationship do you have with local community organizations like SEER during times of extreme weather? And how does that impact your decisions in leading or in organizing your family, in this case, your organization, and the community you serve during these times?
Well, I think in a lot of situations in this last spring flooding, we had several communities that are surrounded by the river. So in the front of us is San Jacinto River. Behind us is the Trinity River, where a lot of families that are affected is on that Trinity River. And so this time around, we were able to get hotspots, because when we had to go into the community and try to identify who was in trouble, they didn't have internet and we didn't either. And so the state sent us some computers, state computers that had internet. But SEER has been a partner to share with us all type of resources, but they were able to give us tablets so that we can go in the community and have the individual type it in, so that there's a little more trust and transparency in them putting their information. And we were putting it in the TDM document. What was ISTAT, doing ISTAT. And so that they helped us with hotspots. We still have them, and tablets, so that our case managers could get in the community. Also, we needed insect repellent, and so they bought some environmental friendly insect, because individuals need them, because that water sat around for a very long time. And the folks in those river bottom locations, they didn't have water for 2 months before the flooding because the system that they used their water from was down there, and it comes out of Livingston to Liberty County, and it was down. So SEER was able to help us purchase buckets because the people had to go to a certain location, get water, and then take it up the stairs and drive it back to their homes. And had they not helped us with those kind of things, mold treatments, cleaning supplies, we would have had a problem.
Thank you for that. So when Andy told me when I was going to be interviewing you that you were a city councilwoman with Liberty County, and I also see that you're also a real estate agent as well. And I was wondering, with the work you do in real estate, but more specifically, how does your work as a city councilwoman inform your work now in environmental justice in the work that you do for Liberty County?
Well, I was on the city council in the city of Cleveland, which is where I live. And I think what it taught me, one, that is set up for the people, by the people, but unfortunately in those positions, you gotta protect the city, not individuals. And so looking at environmental justice, the way the system is set up is not set up to take care of people. It's set up to make sure that decisions are made for people without people being involved. You got a very limited amount of people. Second of all, there is no qualifications for being a city council person except being 18 years of age, live in the city limits, and don't owe taxes. That's it. And so when you're talking about environmental, when you're talking about safety issues, that's not their job. That is not something that they do. So I have a real good understanding of not wasting time going to the city expecting them to do something when it's limited, right? Now the county have a lot more pull, but it's limited on what it's gonna go into cities and do, right? So if anything is gonna be legislated to help citizens in environmental justice, it has to come from a state and a federal level. That's very much so understood. So that's why I just do what's necessary to take care of people. City is not equipped to deal with environmental issues unless it's something that's dealing with water. Cities own water, and some cities own the electric. The city of Liberty, they own the electric department, power, and they own water. So they control both of those, but most cities don't. We in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I liked how you looked at this experience and you understood the role that you saw yourself as in being a leader for the people that you serve, and understanding that unfortunately the way the system is set up, it doesn't serve especially marginalized people. And I want to talk about your role. So what role do you see women like yourself in addressing climate change and environmental justice?
I think what really has to happen, I think there's a small percentage of us that understand the environmental issues and how it really affects us. I think there has to be a lot more education. I think the younger generation are more environmental conscious because they see more of it. I think in my generation, the baby boomers, we are fixers, right? And so we understand the environmental messed up something, right? But instead of addressing to fix the environment, we know that that's out of our control. So we go fix the problem. Like in my situation, when there's damage to a home, I go fix the house and get what's necessary to make sure that it's safe, sanitary, and secure, right? And I leave that to SEER to deal with the issues of why this happened and what could have been avoided. And so I am learning from being a part of SEER that everything that's happening around us that's causing all these floodings and air pollution and air monitors and all those things, all that is affecting us daily. and it's affecting us making decisions on right things to do. Because I'm learning now, I've read about it, but I'm actually having conversations with people who are affected with breast cancer, throat cancer, mold, and all those things that we deal with on a daily basis that is created by our environment.
Absolutely. That's something that we also want to address, the connection between health problems and climate change for sure. All right, Ms. McIntyre, I have one more question to ask you. What lesson or message would you like audiences to take away from listening to your story?
Well, I would like for people to understand that we all are here with purpose. And purpose means if your neighbor is suffering, so are you. And it may not be at your door today, but it will eventually get to your door. So I would say educate yourself about the importance of our environment, educate yourself about our neighbors, and be there available, because if you don't care about what is happening right next door to you, then it's really kind of hard to say you want to take care of a bigger issue. So I would say know that everybody has a voice and everyone can help someone else.
Awesome. Well, Ms. Barbara McIntyre, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, thank you for
Thank you.
participating in this.